to another episode of the Outpost. We are very pleased to be joined by three very special guests today from Chapter 17 of DAV, Fred Hamel, Rod Kalata, and Mark Mennen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my name is Mike Hurd, and the focus of the Outpost is to be able to share with the community the mission of the disabled American veterans. And right here in Winnebago County, we have a phenomenal chapter. And it's the people, it's the veterans that make it so workable. And the bottom line that you're going to be able to share today is every veteran has a slice of American history. Every veteran has a unique story. And so I'm really excited, Adam, that we got these three guys here. Actually, Fred and Rod were past chapter commanders on top of it. And then Mark is working his way up. He's a junior vice commander, doing well. And so, gentlemen, welcome to the Outpost.
Right.
Well, I got to ask you guys, I mean, like for myself, when I joined the Army, it was almost like a family passage. I mean, what was it for you, Adam? I mean, it was...
I had lived through 9/11 and met a lot of people who had served and just wanted to do my part, basically.
Yeah, so that was kind of, what was it for you guys that all of a sudden you're like, I want to do this?
I don't want to follow up my family's footsteps. My father was in, uncle that was in,
Yep.
both of my, all my uncles, I guess, served. Yeah,
Okay.
So I even had, I think it was an aunt that was in the nursing corps, so
Okay.
whatever that was, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was World War II, and those guys were like larger than
Yeah,
life.
World War
So,
II. Mm-hmm.
and I had uncles too. So, Now, what about Fred, Rod? What was it for you? Was it family or just?
First, my dad was in the Marines and stuff, and then I had two uncles on one side, four uncles on the other side. They were Navy and the Army during their times and stuff like that, and some of my cousins and so forth. And it gave me an opportunity to get away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See the world.
That's my small town America, rural America, and I got to go do something.
Yeah.
Plus, I had a little baby on the way.
Okay.
And I provided for my family.
Okay. Okay. Now, I should mention here, Rod, you're outnumbered. Rod is a member of the United States Marine Corps veteran, but we are four Army guys here, so.
That's all right. That's even
Sorry,
odds.
buddy.
Yeah. So, but the last edition of the Outpost, we learned about
Marine Corps.
we learned about the Marine Corps that you have the Hollywood Marines. That's what
West Coast Marines.
West Coast.
Out of
Camp
San
Pendleton.
Diego. San Diego.
And then what was the other one? And then Paris Island.
Paris Island was the San,
where did
the
you go
San Fleet
from?
Marines.
Where
I was a Hollywood Marine.
You were what?
Hollywood
Hollywood.
Marine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just like my
okay.
San
dad.
Diego. Yeah.
Okay. Is there still that? Is there any?
Well, it still
Camaraderie.
goes on and stuff like that. Although in the last few years, they finally allowed women to go to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because in the past, it's only male Marines at San Diego, and the women went to Paris Island with the other Marines.
Okay. Okay. Now, for you guys, what were your MOS? Now, for the public, MOS, military occupational specialty. That's
A long way to say what your job was.
Yeah, what your job was. What was it for you guys? What were your jobs?
I was a welder
Really?
for 5
Okay.
years. Then I went into generator repair, and I ended up a heavy equipment mechanic.
No kidding. Okay.
Ultimate, the motor sergeant. I ran the fleet maintenance.
Whew. I'm thinking with maintenance, man. Anything goes bad there, everybody hears about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of pressure, that job. What was it for you, Rod?
Well,
What did you do?
went to electronics school initially. I had an opportunity to go to Chicago for satellites and stuff like that, but I said, no, I want to get away from Wisconsin. So I went to Denver and got into the calibration and metrology field, precision measurement equipment and so forth. Did that for 20 years until they put me on a bench and behind a computer and did all the administrative type things and processing data and stuff like that for 30,000 assets and 30 units on the West Coast.
Wow. And that affects you today, because currently aren't you working somewhat in that
Yes,
field?
Fox Valley Metrology.
Yeah, so it carried over well. What was it for you, Mark? What was your MOS?
As everybody knows, food service in the Army is called a spoon. And I worked my way up from the grill guy, the salad guy, main line entrees, and then really like cake decorating and baking cakes and cookies and all that, and get to sample all that stuff. Of course, that don't help out though. At the end, the PT test is not good either. But I did get into what do you call it, like a white collar job, if you say that. Well, food service is always white collar, but got a chance to run a dining facility, small category and large category, and of course numerous awards I won when I was.
Well, Adam,
Yeah,
if you
let's
could,
transition into these. Tell us a little about the awards that you brought.
So what does that one say?
Certificate of Achievement, 1st Armored Division.
And it looks like out of probably Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Or
I can't even see where that's at.
You can read.
Culinary art competition,
Culinary
yeah.
Art
I did a lot of,
Sergeant First Class Mark Mennen.
of course, that's me. I did a lot of cake decorating and ice carving and sculpture work and stuff that you probably don't see in everyday dining facilities, but it's something I did on this, with the unit to get together with other individuals out of the different organizations, and we help out prepare food. Even had
Here's a picture of you back in your service.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, even a general asked us to come and
There you go,
prepare
Mark.
for his lady's or his daughter's wedding. And
Oh.
I thought, wow, is that illegal? But they don't say nothing. Just do it.
Now is this another food one here?
It could be, or for certificate of appreciation or achievement. I'm sorry. Again, that's at
That's
Field
Fort
Artillery,
Sill.
Fort Sill again, Oklahoma, and there's different things I've performed there. I think there was an annual Philip A. Connolly Award. That's where we run the best dining facility in large category dining facility. They come in and inspect us and prepare these meals over and over and over, and finally come in and did it right. I think we maybe took. Now, time I was there, I think 3 first place and 1 second place at this dining facility. So
And this, of course, is a certificate of promotion to Sergeant First Class,
Yep,
it looks like.
that's
which
where I got
is
mine.
a senior NCO.
yep, that's where I got promoted to Sergeant First Class. And of course, they talked to me when I was up in Alaska if I wanted to go warrant officer, and I said, let's just stick with the NCO right now. I don't go any higher.
So, good point. So, that was kind of neat to share because it's, I think it was Napoleon said, troops will do anything for pieces of cloth or ribbon, and,
Sure.
and we love our awards and so forth. So I really appreciate you bringing them in. So, how many years total did you have, and what was your highest rank when you
I
left?
got out as Sergeant First Class, E7, and the other question, Mike, I'm sorry, I just did
How many years?
Years, 20 years, plus I had a couple of months. I started with the National Guards and then went active duty after that.
Okay.
So it all totaled up over 20 years. So, yeah.
Now, what was it for you, Rob?
Well, I was a staff sergeant. I was in for 20 years, and after the Gulf War and so forth, promotions didn't really interest me a whole lot. So I saw, some situations and stuff like that. And
So you did 20 years as well,
Yes.
Fred? How many did you do about?
22 years, 7 months, 11 days, but who's counting?
Wow.
I'm like Mark, I was 3 years guard, dozen active, and then I went back into the guard and finished in the guard.
Wow. I did not realize we had this many years of service among you guys. That's incredible. So, and one of the things that kind of, with gathering today too, again, every veteran is a part of American history. And we have a lot of history over here.
Oh, yeah.
And we have Mark and Rod served during Desert Storm, and then Fred was Operation Restore Hope Somalia. And Fred, whenever I think of Operation Restore Hope Somalia, I can't help but, in my head, the movie Black Hawk Down comes up.
Yeah.
Now, were you there during that time period before?
I left prior.
Okay.
I was there May, June, July of 93.
Wow.
Black Hawk Down happened in October.
Now, what was it like for yourself? What did you run a motor pool, or was it helicopters, or what did you?
I was in parts ordering. I was the parts guy, NCOIC.
Okay.
Not doing my job per se, but I filled in.
Well, I always found that it was amazing how much flexibility could happen in the field.
Get a lot of odd jobs.
Yeah.
We went to Mogadishu right off the bat.
Now, were you at the airport?
I was not. We occupied a old Russian tank factory.
No kidding.
No kidding. It was still. They left there in the '60s or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but there were still tanks
Really?
in
Motor pool.
in various forms of being made, and then we just towed them out and buried them in the sand or something like that. But took this
Charter
big building
practice.
and made it barracks, big per se.
Wow, I did not know that. I did not realize that. So
It was called Sword Base.
Fort what?
Sword Base.
Sword
Wow.
days.
It was in Mogadishu, up on the hill above the university complex.
I mean,
We had our own complex.
I was in Djibouti, and all I can remember was just the
Hottest
heat was.
place on earth.
Yeah, it was just the heat was insane. What did you deal with weather-wise there about? What was the hottest it got?
110 maybe?
Yeah.
You were forced to drink water. I mean, constantly drinking water. And
Wow.
I remember to this day, the French sent us a bunch of water, and I got dysentery from it.
Oh my!
And they said, you can't drink the French water.
Wow.
It's that French kissing he was doing.
So did you mostly live on MREs during that time period, or did they have any?
Oh, we had mess.
Okay.
We had a dining facility.
Yeah. Remember there was no hot weapons in the chow hall.
Oh yeah.
And this is my secret.
yeah. You're right. I forgot.
My unit was interesting. It was
Pardon?
493rd QMS. I was in 87th Major Battalion. One of the companies was 493rd QMS, Quartermaster Supply. So we had lumber, we had water, the ability to make water, and fuel.
Wow.
And that's what we did, is provide fuel to the medevac helicopters, and we made water down at the airport, at the port.
Now, did you have many United Nations folks surrounding you? Okay.
Yep.
Was I think Pakistan was there? I think. I'm just.
I
going off
remember
the
seeing the
movie.
Tunisians, Botswanians.
Oh,
They were right down the road. Botswana.
wow. Okay.
There was French. There was everybody. I should have
See-
worn my blue beret.
Yeah. Well, but see, this is Fred. This is what's cool though, is that these are stories that need to be shared. People need to know these things. I mean, I've known you for years, but I never heard about that you were actually on an old Russian post. That's amazing.
Russian tank factory.
So now you guys were Desert Storm. Now you were Marine Corps, but you were Army. So how did it play out for you?
Well-
Was it Desert Shield, Desert Storm for
I
you?
was there for quite a while with my unit. We got 4 stars, and everybody else got 3 because we were there for such a long duration. Plus, while all the setup and so forth was going on, me and 2 others came out on a little 10-day trip to find out where our equipment went, because we sent it all ahead of time.
Yeah.
And one of our guys got clipped with a pole or something by a piece of brush, and in 2 days got gangrene. We visited a lot of the facilities. Some units came out of Yuma, Arizona, El Toro, Tustin out there, and most of our people came out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. So we comprised like 40% of the Marine Corps went out there for this event, comprising about 190,000 of the 500,000 people there. And when we went there, they didn't issue us any ammo and stuff like that until I got to a guy I knew from Yuma, and he gave me a box of 50 rounds, and we finally had ammo because we were going around from base to base to base. We weren't any real threats, but just in case.
Oh no.
You know.
So now, help me with this? Did you start, let's say, like Germany, and then go to Saudi Arabia, or how did that work for you guys?
We flew straight into Italy
Hmm.
and so forth. We stopped over in Italy, well, hitting the Azores first.
Azores, that's what
In a C-130 with a crew out of Yuma, and they had a female along, and with no facilities, that was a little topic of humor and so forth. And
Yeah.
then we hit Italy, and then we flew down into the Saudi Arabia, Bahrain area, and
Wow.
operated out of there. And even during the Gulf War, we weren't immune from the Scud missiles. One of them broke apart and landed 200 yards away from us.
Oh.
The SEALs picked it up out of the water and analyzed it and said, yes, it was built with 60s technology, but they pulled things out to get greater range. So it pushed the technology back to the 40s and 50s. It went up, it came down. That's all it was.
Wow. So, but bottom line is you had to deal with Scud missiles
Oh, yes.
coming in, and
Oh, yeah.
A lot of getting in and out of the gas masks and mop suits.
Not all the time, but we did have a few warnings here and there and this kind of stuff.
well, you guys did have to worry about the NBC more than what we had
Oh,
to
yes.
deal with. Did you in Somalia? Was there any NBC at all or not? Or
No.
what did you end up? What was it mostly? Was it the heat, or what did you have to deal with the most? That
Oh, we took fire.
okay, you took fire
Took
then?
fire every night.
every night.
Yeah.
I did not know.
I was,
So what was it? The locals, the
yeah,
rebels?
the local
or-
Somalians. They're probably the clan, one of the clans. Try to cap us off.
Wow.
I was starting as a guard one night, and they were firing into our compound, and I actually got permission from the TOC, the Tactical Operations Center, those who don't know, to return fire. And my guys are just happy as pigs in the mud. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we had been there for months and not allowed to fire, but we're taking fire. They finally let us go.
Everything get quiet after that.
It did.
Yes. Wow. Now, Mark, what was it for you for Desert Storm? Was
Well,
it,
didn't really have any big
well, I mean,
glory stories.
well, first, I mean, were you in Germany and then went to Saudi Arabia, or
Oh, we
how
went
did that?
from out of Maine. We went up to Maine, from Oklahoma to Maine, and then from there we went to the Azores, and then from there we went to right into Bahrain or something like that.
Bahrain.
Bahrain, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not pronouncing it right. I'm not good.
Well, bottom line, you're both in the Middle East, though.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
Bahrain was the little vacation spot you got to go to if you got any free time.
no,
okay.
I didn't see this free
That
time.
was the only spot, little country that they'd serve alcohol.
Where they kept the Air Force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. And they're air-conditioned tents.
Did you have like remember there was like, for those moments, it was like a 2-beer or 3-beer policy. Did you guys have that?
It was just special forces. We had.
Oh yeah. I'm not. I have to keep my.
I was on a
closed
cruise,
with you.
and we were entitled, if we were out for a whole month out on the water, they were allowed to put us on little boats, put us out on the water, take us off the ship, and serve us 1 beer,
Oh, wow.
and go back to the ship.
Ah, okay.
That's what
Nice.
they did with the drunken sailor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then going back, Mark. So then what happened is you got into Bahrain, and then, from a dining facility standpoint, it kind
Well,
of something new to me. So what exactly
It
would
was
you do?
very, very rough going for the first 10 days, 2 weeks. We were just piecing meals together. In fact, we were getting food from Marines. I'd go down and pick stuff up, and wow, these guys are cooking in half a 55-gallon drum.
How many
Really?
bags can you fit into a 55-gallon drum?
I don't know. We were cooking a lot of food, and it was
I never
stuff
knew
I didn't
that.
want to eat. That I didn't want to eat.
So
that.
you guys were actually, Marines were actually cooking out of 55-gallon drums?
Yeah, they
They were scrounging people all over the place.
scavenging. We're
Our main unit, we got 4 cooks that came to be our cooks at our facility, but they were only trained for pastries. We had to beg, borrow, and steal a sergeant from another unit who actually knew how to cook, and he taught the other
Guys
4 how
how-
to cook
yeah.
actual food at our unit.
Wow.
Wow.
They brought us.
So I got to ask, did you have a normal dining facility, or did you have something like these guys?
I was Desert Storm also,
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and then it was pretty rough. T-rats after
yeah.
T-rat after
Oh,
T-rat.
T-rats.
T-rats.
Could you and this is a good thing because with our public, Mark, what is a T-rat? Just to
It's-
be able to share
It's
with
a glorified TV dinner. It's one package of. It's a big box, but there's a lot of individual containers of different things. You know, the entrees, the vegetables, dessert, whatever. But my gosh,
Well, is that the one that you take it and you throw it in and let it boil?
boil the heck out of it. Yeah, I didn't say no.
Did you have T-Rats, Adam?
I did not.
You see, young guy here.
Yeah.
Steak,
But-
lasagna, lobster.
Yeah.
Well, one meal they served us, they said they were giving me bacon. It was a slab of meat about that long, kind of grayish looking, about that thick and about that wide, and over half of it was fat. And I stopped eating bacon because of it, because I just couldn't stand it.
Really? Wow. So I
Side
got to
board.
ask you. I mean, what was your dining like in Shimkani?
We had a Navy cook that took care of us really well, actually.
Oh,
When we were able to get supplies in, he could really cook.
wow.
Otherwise, we just had MRIs when we had to. Sometimes we ate off the local economy.
Yeah, we had that too. We had that John Wayne bread or something like that. Yeah.
And then you all served some very interesting areas: Desert Storm, Desert Shield, in Somalia. You came back home. How did that work as far as getting involved with the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans? Was it? Did you go to a meeting? How did it work for you? Fred, you're jumping on this. Go for it, man.
Oh, you know where I worked, and George Gillis was there, and he goes, "Are you a veteran?" I said, "Yeah." "Are you disabled?" I said, "Yeah."
Now, do we have that picture of George?
Oh, you showed
George
it
and
earlier.
Fred? We can throw that up. There we go.
And he says, "Why don't you come to a meeting?" And in my heart, I said at 50 I was going to belong to an organization, be it the VFW, the Legion, and George reached out to me, and the rest is history.
Okay. And actually, George was on our show last month, and George is a past chapter commander and a past what were the DECs? What district commander back in the day.
Yeah.
And very well respected. And that's actually a neat shot of you guys, because you joined DAV and then you actually rose up in the ranks and you became the chapter commander. And then during that time period, you actually had, for those 2 years, the chapter of the year for the state of Wisconsin. So that was pretty cool beans. So. Rod, what was it for yourself? Is it a George Gillis story? Did
No.
he bring it?
I got in with the American Legion first, and then the VFW, and then someone mentioned the DAV, and I'm going, okay. I hadn't heard of them ever before, this kind of stuff, and I had a rating. You know, they sent me straight down to Milwaukee with all my records and this kind of stuff, and came back and said, "You got a 30% disability rating," and I'm going, okay, what does that give me? You know? And then I found out about the DAV, and I've been with them for quite a while, and then eventually, I became sergeant at arms, and then a junior vice, and then they
Treasurer?
not quite first. I had to help somebody else who volunteered to be treasurer, but he didn't know the math part of it, and I had to help him out. And it took me 3 months and 3 bottles of brandy to figure out this one person's work. And ever since then, I was the treasurer for like 7 years. I went up to the department as the financial committee, and then the deputy treasurer for a while. And I'd go out to other units to help them out with their annual financial reports and things like that.
And you had been a chapter commander 3 years, right?
Yes.
So, okay, wow. So I always like to say, with being at that chapter commander, you're like at that tactical level.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're dealing with people, personnel, bringing in new members,
But
and
COVID kind of threw that for a whack.
Yep.
And I was spending lots of additional time, and our
Morning.
meetings are usually about the 14th, 15th, or 16th hour of my day.
wow.
Yeah. It's a long day.
So how'd you get in DAV, Mark?
Okay, there's another story there. Roy Rogers.
Roy
past
is a
commander.
legend.
Yep. He, post office guy, and we talked a little bit, and he mentioned about DAV. I don't know how maybe I was doing crossing guard in Menasha for my wife, but he happened to go by, and his wife was out there, Dar, and we talked a little bit. because she worked at the school at the time.
Yeah.
And my wife was crossing guard right at the school in Menasha there. So we, talked a little bit, and the next thing I know it, when you get a chance, see if you can stop on by or talk a little bit more about the DAV. And well, I was working security at the time, and I couldn't get away to the meetings, but I definitely want to come on board. And it worked out pretty good, though. He pulled some strings and got me in, no problem.
He wasn't interested in DAV. He was interested in DAR.
No, yeah.
DAR?
Or the trigger, his car.
So, any favorite stories that you can think of while engaged with the DAV, or things that you did, or things that kind of stuck out the most?
I like doing the brat fries. I always liked that a lot. And then when we do programs like this, and then you had cabin fever, it's always a big plus in my thing. It's just helping out other people in general.
That
That's
is what
the
it's
big
about.
thing. It doesn't have to be even veterans. I mean, I go out and help the next door neighbor out if they need something, I'm that kind of a person. Well, we all are.
Well, I think what happens though too is, when we're in the military, we watch out for the person on our right and our left,
Amen.
and they watch out for us, and that's kind of how it's built. And we have a mission, and that's what we do. And that's what really struck me, is that when I got out and I got involved with DAV, all of a sudden the mission came forward, and it's looking out for my brothers and my sisters on the right, and it just kind of, and that's what struck me more than anything. I mean, for yourself, Fred, what was it that kind of hit you with the DAV that you enjoyed so much?
I really enjoy the conventions,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the conventions. I never forget that.
be it Green Bay or the
Madison.
Dells,
Well, we even had a few of them at
Stevens
Appleton.
Point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like going out, reaching out, seeing other people,
And
conversing.
that's
And it's a big band of brothers and sisters.
you're right, because nationally we got 1 million veterans. We got, I think it's like 1,200 chapters, close to 1,200, and then in Wisconsin we got like 40 chapters. And you're right, Fred, because we get together, we share ideas, we connect, and it's just a fellowship and camaraderie that just kind of catches you. So.
Sure.
You hear a lot of war stories, and a couple of them are even true.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
So
What-
there's a little exaggeration from time to time.
Well, I think I got you in, didn't I?
You did.
I did. I did.
Shanghaied me.
Yeah. So, but it is a good time. So,
In the last couple of minutes, just
yeah. Yeah. As we were gonna start to wind down a little bit, the one thing I always like to say, were there in your military service, was there any humorous times that stuck out that are shareable with the public? Like, I can remember in Afghanistan, we were going down a road that was known for ambushes, and the tension was just unbelievable because we were waiting to get hit. And one of the NCOs, God bless him, it was great, played the Ramones, "I Want to Be Sedated." And everybody started singing and laughing. And that was kind of one of those great moments. You remember anything from your time in that was that humorous that you were able to share?
Well, I had one with right before the Gulf War. We had a British Marines sergeant major come down and give us a little visit thing right at our Marine Corps birthday ball, and he was telling us stories about his duties at Quantico and this kind of stuff. And he said the armory. He was at the armory and he was carrying his weapon normally, and well, he did it, and it wasn't the same way that everybody else puts it up in the air and this kind of stuff. An armor, yell him, "You do this," and he says, "Do you know who the F I am?" And this kind of stuff. And
Ooh.
he's here to train these guys on anti-terrorist things and the FBI and so forth. And he kind of they humored on it the whole way.
Crazy.
thank you so much for joining us this month, and
Yeah.
pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wrapped up and done, went well. So,
Okay.
welcome and head on home.